What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu by the Train Tracks. It's a silly name, we know, but we love it, and you love it too, secretly.
We know you do because you liked it. You clicked the bell, so it's true.
Exactly. And today we have a very special episode number 15 for you guys. Today we have Mr. Miles Kirby in the house.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
What's up, Miles?
Not much.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. We just got done working on a couple of technique videos. Miles showed us The Matrix, and coincidentally, and this is just so bizarre, right? Because I was just talking about the movie The Matrix with my stepson and how he'd never seen that movie, and I was like, "We're watching that tonight."
You're a bad parent if your kids hadn't seen The Matrix yet.
That's right.
Just saying. The whole trilogy.
Yeah, you have to watch it just from front to back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a fourth one coming out.
Is it really?
Yeah, this year, I think. As a matter of fact, there's that and John Wick, Part 4.
Oh, snap.
Keanu Reeves is busy, man. And he does jiu-jitsu.
He went
that's true.
He went from like a D-list celebrity to like an A-list celebrity in the span of
Overnight.
a year. Yeah.
He went from Speed to The Devil's Advocate. Devil's Advocate is pretty good.
That's a good movie. Al Pacino, man.
I know. Tony Montana.
Yeah, and of course, like Joe Rogan's blowing him up too with the whole John Wick thing. So it's just like he's just everywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
He's probably one of the cooler actors to hang out with, I think.
I would think so.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
There's
he
a lot of them.
well, he does jiu-jitsu, so that's a big
Yeah. He already has one leg up for me. Now, Ashton Kutcher, on the other hand, maybe not so much.
I don't think I mentioned we had talked about the movie that had come out with Sean Patrick Flannery, and I didn't mention that I had watched that movie, and I was pleasantly surprised by how good it was and the nods they gave to jiu-jitsu and just the inside jokes that we all share. I mean, it wasn't like over the top with it, but it was enough of a jiu-jitsu movie and not like a cage fighting MMA movie that, I really enjoyed it. And Miles, you were saying you actually got to train with him at one point, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was at Worlds, and we randomly, one of my training partners, his wife now was friends with him, and like we just went up to Hollywood, and like there he was, and he trained with us all, and he was like super nice and chill. Nice. And so we were just getting ready for Worlds,
Was this at a gym or at his place or?
I think it was at his gym, maybe. I don't know if it was his gym or not.
Okay.
But it was where he trained.
Okay.
So, and it was pretty much just us in there, and like we all just trained, and he was really cool, Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he got his black belt from Renzo Gracie, and Renzo makes a cameo appearance in this movie.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
like right at the very end before the final fight or whatever, and Renzo comes up, he goes, "Hey man, good luck." And like the camera looks at Sean, and Sean's like, "Professor Renzo, thank you." And then like Renzo looks at him, his Renzo face, like it's so silly. Okay, well, so Miles, I wanted to ask a little bit about like coming up as a kid, like. What brought you to martial arts? Like, what was it that actually like drew you to it? Were there other things you were into coming up? Were there sports that you played?
Yeah. I mean, so I've always kind of been drawn to martial arts, like kind of like from as being a kid, and like James and I were talking, and like I grew up in Brownsville the majority of my life, and
B-Town.
Yeah, son. And and like we talked about earlier, there's only two things to do really, and it's like fight and drugs, So. That's kind of like a natural calling to most folks in Brownsville is one of the two. Most people don't make it out, though, unfortunately. But, that's just how the small town life is. But
little precursor, James and Miles just realized they were from the same area of Tennessee right before we started recording. So they're long-lost brothers over here.
Basically.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if we related. Like, it's that small.
Yeah, for real.
You got any Williamses in your family? Or Kings?
I don't think so.
All right.
I don't know.
There might be something there. Pews, Henleys?
No, I'm like Antoine's and Howell's.
I think the people
Kirby's.
know that you're not really related, James.
We probably are.
But
I'm going to say we are until we're not.
I'm telling you, it is possible. But yeah, so like I was a competitive baseball player my whole life, and I was a catcher, and like I played in the Little League World Series and stuff, like travel ball, whatever. And it was kind of like a weird transition because I've always been like this like really little dude like my whole life. And so, naturally, like, I just, like, used to get picked on and shit all the time, which that's just how it is, right? You know? But, so, whenever I was a kid, like, I'm not really witty, and, like, I'm not, you know, very intelligent whenever it comes to, like, verbal communications, whenever I was a kid, at least. So I would just get fucking mad. And so, you know, right about the 7th grade is whenever I started fighting. And there was no martial arts except this little taekwondo school in our hometown, which my mom wouldn't let me do it or whatever, because, you know, I was playing baseball. And so I just started hitting folks, and they stopped picking on me. And I was like, this is awesome. But, you know, the problem is what happens is when you have, like, that unchecked aggression over time, like, it creates this, like, cyclical cycle that's, like, super unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that was what I was wrapped up in for so long, you know, because there was no positive outlet where we're from, you know, to, like, you know, go do that. And, like, much less have a mentor that actually knows how to fight and, like, can deal with a super aggressive, insecure kid. Which is what I was. So, like, me and my best friend Adam, you know, we were around and, like, we would fight all the time, man. We would go jump from town to town. We were fighting everybody. We were fighting each other. Like, you know, we talk shit to each other. And, like, that's kind of where I tell folks that, like, my martial arts journey kind of began, you know, because we were just in the backyard fighting all the time. Like, and it was just, like, we would just go in the backyard, throw on gloves or wrestle. And, like, we just look at each other wrong. It's like, oh, all right, it's time.
You ready? You ready? Now's the time.
Yeah, and we just tackle each other and just start wrestling. You know what I mean? And there was this guy named Fletcher Ingram, who's my very first martial arts instructor. He was from Brownsville. He graduated with my mom, whatever. But he was, like, into ninjutsu, and also he was, like, this big-time taekwondo, kickboxing kind of guy. And it was at the local YMCA, and we would go in there and, like, we found him because we were in there with UFC gloves in the yoga room beating each other up. And then he was like, hey, man, you know, I know how to fight or whatever. Like, I'm a kickboxer. And I was like, oh, awesome. And I was like, cool, I'm going to train with you. And, of course, I was the only one that stuck it out training with him. And so that's kind of where my journey began, was at, like, 17 years old doing kickboxing with Fletcher.
Baby bar fights.
So you started with this guy, and how long did you train with him for?
I guess it probably a year and a half.
And you ran in. How did you meet Jeremy?
So that was kind of like a long whirlwind. So I started in Brownsville kickboxing, and then I moved to Jackson, Tennessee, and that's where I met Ashley Wheat, who is under the Luis Paul Juarez Association.
Yes, Ashley Wheat. He does. They also have 10th Planet ties too at that school, right? Where are they at exactly?
They're in Jackson.
They are in Jackson.
Yeah, they are in Jackson. Yeah, so they were. So that was whenever I was, like, all gung ho on, like, MMA and stuff, and so that was before they moved to Glory. And
okay.
And before they were, like, half Luis, half 10th Planet.
Gotcha.
I don't really know that situation that
Sure,
well.
sure.
But I just know, like, we're all still, like, I don't know.
Probably
same
just
family. You know, I don't know. It's like the no-gi part and then the gi part.
And that's how you connected with Jeremy, through Ashley.
Through Ashley, yeah. So I started doing MMA, and I was competing in jiu-jitsu, and so that was how. So I went to this random tournament. We called it Hatcher Worlds. You know, Brad Hatcher.
Oh, yeah, I know Hatcher.
Yeah, you know.
My first tournament in Tennessee was at one of his events. First tournament with the school, actually, when I started teaching.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
It was fun. It was good. Breck still, you know Breck.
Yeah.
Him and I had a match. I was still a purple belt at the time. He was a brown belt, and they didn't have any other purple belts there, so I got to roll with Breck, and man, that was, you know, he was such a nice guy too. It's like you get to this high level and you end up liking all the people you end up going against, and it's like
everybody.
You know, everybody's such a cool dude, you know. And
yeah.
Oh yeah. And then we went up to Hatcher Worlds, and I'm sure Breck was probably there. Mm-hmm. I was a white belt at the time. And so Aaron Johnsey had just moved up, and he was the head kids instructor at Brentwood.
Yes.
And that was kind of the connection, because Aaron was traveling to competitions and stuff. He wasn't really competing. Like, he would do some every once in a while, but he would go and, like, help coach me in the very beginnings at jiu-jitsu tournaments. And so I met Jeremy one weekend. Like, he was like, hey, come up here, and, like, you can just stay with me, and then we'll go, you know, to East Tennessee and compete. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I just, like, you know, packed all my stuff up, like, went and trained with them on Friday, competed on Saturday, and like I was telling you guys before we got on here, it was like, you know, I was telling Jeremy, it's like, yeah, man, you know, like I'm saving up my money. I'm, you know, I want to be a pro fighter and, you know, whatever. And he was like, all right, man, well, if you're serious, like you can just live at my house and you can just train full time. And I was like, oh, okay. And you know, he didn't think I was coming. Because how many people you come across in this world that are like, I'm going to be a world champion.
Throw the offer out there and they bite on it immediately.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, and actually do it. You know, a lot of people will bite, but once they get in, they realize that's not what they want.
Yeah, it's too hard.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you know. And so at that point in my life, I mean, I was ready to die. So I was like, it doesn't matter, man. You know, it was just, that was a wild period in my life. And so I moved up here and I've just been here ever since.
So how long did that last, that period where you feel like it was, I want to be this massive MMA fighter versus, hey, I think I want to just do jiu-jitsu?
Well, so it's I kind of bring it back to the wants versus needs kind of scenario. So I wanted to fight MMA because I thought because during that period of time, like I was a pretty disturbed kid. Like, you know, I come from like a great family. Like, you know, the whole nurture aspect of my life was amazing. Like, all of my family is great. But the nature part of me internally, as a child growing up with like really, really bad insecurities and like wanting to fight all the time and all that stuff and like that cycle that we talked about, it just came to fruition because, like, you know, whenever I was a kid, like, you know how it is in Brownsville, man. It's like you're 14, 15 years old, you're smoking weed, you're drinking, like you're altering your mind at such a young age that it just fucks you up.
Yeah.
Or even just having a moment where you beat up somebody, you get a little bit of drop of dopamine from that too, right? Like the power dynamic from fighting and kicking somebody's ass once, and now it's like, oh man, I need more of that, you know.
And Brownsville is such a small place that if you do win one of those fights, everybody in the neighborhood finds out about it quickly, and next thing you know, like, hey, that's the guy that beat up so-and-so. So either one of two things are going to happen. Either everybody is going to say, wow, you're a really good fighter, or either they're going to say, ooh, I'm going to try him next.
Yeah.
So it's that constant external, internal battle you deal with too.
Yeah. And I was constantly dealing with, I'm going to try him next.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, which, of course, I mean, and that was fine. You know, like, I enjoyed it. You know, it was fun. I mean, I've gotten beat up just as much as I've done the beating, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, it just creates this, like, really weird mind space, head space, you know.
Early concussions, they change a lot of stuff.
They change a lot of stuff. And that was mainly why I wanted to fight MMA, was because, like, I was, like, getting ready to go into the military. Like, I was signing up to be a Marine because, man, they're first in.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I found out is, like, I was just looking for a challenge. Like, you know, ever since I left my baseball career and, like, went off on that weird kind of path, you know, I had lost kind of, like, the sense of who I was through the way I lived and, like, the things that I was doing. Just on a day-to-day, you know, running with the wrong folks and, like, because, I mean, you know, who else are you going to run with back home?
Yeah.
You know? And so, and I just started down that path, and, man, and I realized in those first moments from, like, 17 to 19 that I really enjoyed fighting. Like, I didn't care what it was. Like, I didn't care if it was wrestling. I didn't care if it was jiu-jitsu. I didn't care if it was kickboxing or Muay Thai. I just knew that I loved combat. You know, and so that's kind of how it swayed me was whenever I moved to Brentwood to be like a pro fighter or whatever you want to call it, to do jiu-jitsu full time, like I realized that I didn't need to fight MMA anymore, you know, because it was giving me everything that I wanted mentally as far as a challenge aspect. So I didn't need to get hit in the head anymore.
Yeah.
How many fights did you have as like, I don't know much about when you did MMA. I've done a couple MMA fights. I did, I'll just tell you really quick. I had one. I had one in a ring in Danville, Virginia, because I used to train at a place in King William, Virginia called Odyssey Martial Arts, and they were a Hoist Gracie affiliate at the time, and they later transitioned, and David Camarillo became one of the, do you know Dave Camarillo?
I don't.
He does a lot of, he was actually one of the head coaches at AKA back when the first Ultimate Fighter. He was like Josh Koscheck, Forrest Griffin. He was their coach. Jiu-jitsu grappling guy, judo champion. I did a seminar with him up there, really good. But long story short, I did a fight with this school in the ring. It was okay. I survived the whole fight, but it was a wake-up call because I was in my early 20s, and I was like, and then 5 years later, I tried in a cage, and that was my only experience, those two. I lost them both.
Yeah.
So you had some good looks in the one I saw.
I did okay. Maybe we'll watch them one day on the show and commentate.
Yeah, and critique you.
We can break it down.
Oh, God.
You know?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I actually only had one MMA fight. And I'll kind of give you the rundown of that. So I did kickboxing for a while, a couple years. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu. And I had done jiu-jitsu for, I think, 3 months or 4 months. And I was like, I'm ready. And my professor actually at the time was like, no. And I was like, but I'm ready. Like, I mean, I was training every single day. Like, I was just ready to fight. And he was like, all right, man, whatever, let's go. And so I went in there, really stupid. But anyway, so I had this guy lined up. And this was like my fault. And I guess it kind of sounds like an excuse. But like this kid had like 7 fights. I had none.
Okay.
And but the old mentality, man, it don't matter.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do it one day or another.
Yeah, let's go. So anyways, I could go in, and it starts off really well, and I'm winning on the feet, and he takes me down. And so this is like, this is in Lexington where I fight. And so it's like, the VFW, like the whole, amateur scene, you name it, whatever, poorly put together cage. Jonathan Ivey was actually my ref for the night. Oddly enough, so that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Nice.
But he took me down, and we had gone over the overhook, because you overhook to block the punch, and then you have your other hand for distance management and all that stuff.
Right.
And of course, just like clockwork, boom, I shot up a triangle, locked a triangle, no problem. Well, the problem was I didn't hook the leg.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And the way the cage was built out, and this is also why I haven't done another MMA fight, is because of the concussion that I got during this fight, was so you know how like the inside barrier is surrounded by like foam padding and all that stuff? Well, it was straight metal. They didn't have the padding. And the kid picked me up over his head and slammed the back of my head on the metal ring around. And that was the worst concussion I ever had.
That sounds like the worst concussion anybody's ever had.
It was bad.
I'll have to show a clip of the famous Rampage and Arona slam so that people have context to what it looks
what
like.
you're describing. Yeah, because I can see it, and it's gross.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
And who was with you? Who was cornering you in that fight?
Ashley.
Ashley was cornering you.
Yep,
Okay.
and my Muay Thai coach, Slack.
Gotcha.
Did that end the fight, or?
Oh, yeah, that was done.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah, that
curious.
was
I didn't
over.
know how much of a BMF you are.
No, I'm not. I was done. And so, but like, it was fine, whatever, like that happens. You know what I mean? I went in, I'd been training 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doing jiu-jitsu for 3 months, man. It's like you kind of get what you ask for in a way, But during that time, of course, I couldn't get hit in the head. And that's when I fell in love with jiu-jitsu because I lost to jiu-jitsu, really, because I didn't do it correctly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that was like, that completely diverted my whole life into doing jiu-jitsu. Was just like, I lost this way. I almost messed myself up for the rest of my life this way because I didn't hook the leg.
Yeah.
So all you kids out there that want to fight MMA, hook the leg.
Hook the leg.
Hook the leg.
Yeah.
Sweep it and then hook it.
Khabib had an awesome triangle against Gaethje, I mean, he had the leg hooked and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it was the same for me. Fighting MMA and taking shots, it's like, you could take shots as much as you want, but if you're taking them, it's going to cause some damage long term, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're getting slammed, it's like, for me, I had to weigh for myself, like, all right, even if I was successful and was winning these fights, if I was still taking the same amount of damage, is the juice really worth the squeeze to keep going? There's going to be some guys who are hard to hit and have a knack for being offensive and aggressive. I mean, we've seen how this sport has evolved over the years, but like, becoming a black belt in jiu-jitsu and just staying consistent with something in the sport was like, it just grew into something of more importance to me in my mind,
Yeah, I feel like if I'm a heavyweight boxer, I'm gonna probably have a shorter lifespan than heavyweight jiu-jitsu practitioner.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You're still feeding that competitive urge. Like you're just approaching it. If you really like striking, then keep striking and do your thing. But
hit pads instead.
Find trusted partners, or something. I mean, there's some guys that talk about how they have specific people they train with, for safety. But I don't know, man. Even in sparring light, it's like one guy gives about 70%, and then another dude gives about 75%, and then before you know it, it's like, it's like all hell breaks loose, and you guys ain't calling or texting each other anymore afterwards.
Oh yeah,
that don't happen with me and Jeff. He just calls me mean names, and we just keep going.
No, I have to see. I have to cuss out James in the moment just to get it off my chest.
He does.
Yeah, just to help me sleep at night. Just be like, God, you sweat me, you son of a.
Yeah, there's a kid Martinez that I used to train with, and it was whenever I first moved up here, who was kind of like my little nemesis, because he was like 16 years old and I was 20. I mean, whatever, it's not a big deal. Like, I mean, I sucked at the time, but we were both white belts, and like we were kind of coming up through the ranks together. Man, he would trash me, and I would go home and I would just lay in a dark room and cry at night.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? Because I'm like, what am I doing? And like, because I had stopped to, I essentially given up my whole life to train full time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right, man, this is it. There's 16-year-olds just like just whooping my ass every day.
And he's going to school talking about it too. Yeah. I'm beating up adults.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the first, similar experience, man. Like, getting beat up by a teenager is eye-opening.
Yes, it is. Yeah. We've got our own. Mm-hmm. Max Jolly. He's a beast on the mats.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. We talk about him a lot on this podcast. But yeah, he's going to be something someday. But look, Miles, I got a match pulled up here from a Fuji event back a while. You were a blue belt here, man.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to watch this match here, and I hope
I won this one.
I want you to see. I always make sure, I always try to make sure I pick one that you've won.
He usually doesn't if it's me.
So this doesn't ring any bells off the bat. This match, do you know exactly what this is or where it was?
Fuji Nash Open?
This was in, no, I don't actually. No.
I know it's you because it's got a Brentwood patch. There you go. It's got the Spider Guard sweep right off the bat. Driving the knee cut. You sure you weren't sandbagging in this match?
I don't know. What year was it?
Let me see here. I think I want to say...
well, it's the old Brentwood patch, so it's got to be at least before
2016, 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got to be at least 4 or 5 years ago. The guy got his guard back.
He ain't doing nothing with it, though.
And,
God, I suck.
Don't you hate this?
Yeah.
Would you watch all the things you should have done there? Oh. Hey, there you go.
Right,
look at that, though, man. Yeah. Nice back step, long step pass, knee and belly. Oh, no.
You see that? That was just terrible.
You went for the gold too soon. That's what it was.
Know, man.
But it was there.
It was there. You still look good going for it.
And you still got your clothes guard.
See, we...
back then, this is whenever I was primarily a guard player.
You do have some really big calves.
Told you. Captain Calves.
Captain Calves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're working.
Nice.
Nice.
Putting points on the board. But even at blue belt, man, you look very composed, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, blue belt is what I did probably the majority of my competing at blue belt, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
Why there?
Same thing, I think, for me, too.
That's where you cut your teeth.
Really?
It's white and blue, man. Yeah.
That's when you're the most hungry, too. Like, that's why you're starting this thing to do this, It's like you want to be out there.
I can't tell if he's got half guard or...
He looks like he's just got he's got like a knee shield half guard.
Okay.
Another knee cut pass here. Miles is going to start taking the back. Nice
body triangle.
at control here.
You still don't remember this match? Wow.
That's
that
crazy.
many.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I rarely remember the matches that I win.
Really?
But I remember all the ones I lose.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of,
That makes sense.
I almost feel like I lose them all because I'm always able to find something that I could have done better.
Yeah.
I remember the moments better. Like, I should have got the leg there, or I forgot to shift my hips here.
Yeah.
And even whenever you win, it's not good enough.
No, it's never. Yeah, I won, but that's great. I enjoy the medal, and I don't have the memories of losing, but at the same time, there's opportunities to improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the pause of, I'm going to get it in there, but I want it to be as quick and precise.
And I think he gets it here, right? I think he gets the tap here.
Oh, yeah.
I hope
I
so,
see the mouthpiece coming out.
Because if I don't, man, it's terrible.
Well, I mean, it took me till purple belt probably to become fluid in collar chokes. That was one of the things I struggled with the most, I think, coming up in the gi.
Whoa!
There you go. That was a good reset.
Yeah, that was a
Got
good
the
reset.
choke.
There we go.
Excellent. Excellent work.
Yeah. God, I remember my first matches from Battle for Blue, and I was like, Jesus, can we just delete these from everybody's memory?
Mm-hmm.
God, I look horrible.
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes of flopping.
Yep, dude, if you want to see me look bad, I'm sure I've got some matches on Flow where I just get trashed. You know?
Yeah, it's fun to go back and look. I mean, you're building a portfolio, you're building a resume. You know, I mean, this all goes towards somebody who decides to open up a school or wants to get into a bigger event and things like that. You know, it's nice to to have that footage. I mean, back in the day, people would compete and nobody would be able to. It would just be from people's memories what happened, as opposed to even today, like if you watch something, people are going to have different inputs on what they notice and what they feel about it. It's kind of the same when you really think about it, but you can actually review a match though and concrete see what you've done wrong and what you've done right,
Yeah,
That's,
memory
that's
is
a
such
big
a
thing.
fickle thing.
Yeah.
In
your memory, it's going to be a legendary event. In
Yeah.
reality, he just tripped over a crack in the floor.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
So Miles, transitioning from like competing all the time, like do you still have that hunger? I know you're focused. You've just opened up a school in Columbia, Tennessee with Jeremy, and you're instructing and you're learning how to run a business. Like, how's that transition working?
Well, I guess from a competitive nature, and I guess before we kind of dive off into all the other stuff, so I'm kind of a weird case where through the years, like, I don't really think of myself as being I'm not really like your normal competitor. Does that make sense? I don't know. I guess I have to explain it.
Describe it a little more for me.
So it's like the way that I view competing is not going and winning medals and like beating other people. Does that make sense? That's just what happens through my process is beating other people. Like my whole goal is, because kind of like what we talked about earlier, going back deeper into my life, like all the deep like inset insecurities that I had from like being a kid or whatever you want to call it, right? Just whatever. We all have them. We're all human. It's all been about management for me, is how to manage your emotions, how to manage your mind, how to really dig in and big picture manage yourself and control yourself and your emotions. So that's how I kind of started viewing competing probably about 4 years ago, was because the problem is like, of course I want to win the gold medals and stuff, but most of what I'm tied to competitively is the performance. Like, did I go out there and execute what I intended on executing? Because if I did, I'm going to win gold by default.
Yeah.
Right? But if I didn't, then obviously I did something wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, much clearer.
So I'm not really tied to the whole, like, competing for, like gold medals and all that stuff, which is not the right way to – a lot of people would probably disagree. That's the wrong thing to do if you're going to be in a combat sport and compete in it. But it's jiu-jitsu, man. We're not getting hit in the head. So, like, we have the ability to be malleable and compete for different reasons, just like how we train for different reasons. Like, man, the reason I trained a year ago is not the reason why I train today. Well, actually, I didn't train a year ago because I was recovering from a hip surgery. But, it's like it's all completely different. And so in a part of what he was asking me, transitioning through all these things, to me it's just a natural progression. You know, that's just kind of like what I did. You know, I came in as a competitive guy because I thought that was what was going to make me whole. You know, I thought the gold medals were going to give me peace of mind, and I got them, and there was no peace.
No.
You know what I mean? And then it's just like that constant just sticking that the mastery of one thing helps you master yourself. You know, because there's a lot of times in my life where, because I've always had this weird thing with control, where I've never wanted to be controlled by anyone, and I never wanted to control myself either, which is weird.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, just allow yourself to indulge and
to do whatever I want.
Be at one with the universe.
The hedonistic lifestyle, you know.
That's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but which of course, you know, so I've dove down all those different types of rabbit holes, and jiu-jitsu and like being on the mats, and that's a part of the reason why I wanted to open the school, is because like here I was like some broken kid that didn't have, because like nobody knows what they want to do.
No.
You know, when they're 18, 19,
First 12,
20 years
18
old.
years of your life, you
Yeah,
don't know.
man.
You can't make a decision for the next 60 years. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly, you know. And so
18-year-old James saying what 40-year-old James should be doing is a liar.
yeah.
That dude is an idiot.
Yeah, you know, and that was a part of me wanting to have a school, was so that, because like kind of like what my professor did for me is he gave like the mats over here, that's like your blank slate. And like you can be whatever the fuck you want to be over there.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Like all that shit on the outside don't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, and like the reality is like the way that our community is built around our association, and I'm sure it is here too, you know, but I'm not here day in and day out. But of course, you guys are a part of the same team, and you understand, like, you guys have trained enough with us in Brentwood where it's like, you can come in and be whatever you want. Like, you can come in and you can be like a philosopher. You can come in and you can be a competitor. You can come in here and lose weight. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So all you need is the space to do it. And that's my whole goal with opening a school, is like, I just want to give people a space where they can see light in the darkness, basically, if they have any. And some people don't. You know, some people are just like, they're fine when they walk in. You know, they got all that shit out of the way a long time ago, and they just want to stay in shape and do something fun.
That's a good why statement.
You know?
For your building business, that's a good why statement.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I doing it? Well, I want to do exactly what you said. I want to help people see the light in the darkness.
Yeah, man. You know?
That's what a lot of jiu-jitsu instructors, you know, you could tell that you could see the passion, you can hear the passion, and people who lack that in their lives, you know, a lot of times that's why they're drawn to jiu-jitsu, because they see, you know, they see that aura around the person that runs the school and like what jiu-jitsu means to them. You know, it's accountability, it's discipline. It's really a place to put others before yourself too. You know, I mean, as much as we want to come in here initially to try to win, to try to be competitive, you know, you stick around because you build friendships, because you help out the new guy, because, you know, all these little things that push you past your comfort zone and make you the person that you want to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like the debt that jiu-jitsu has given me for the, how can I explain it? Whenever you go from white to black belt, that's probably the most selfish thing that you'll ever do. You know what I mean? Because you are from, especially probably, well, I say white to black, but probably from white to about purple, brownish, like, you need help getting there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to take as much as you can in order to get there. But that's okay. You know what I mean? That's why you have the community around you to take from. But there's a certain point where you have to give back. You know what I mean? And depending on, and people view this completely different. You know, there's all types of different personalities, but what jiu-jitsu has given me, as far as from a reflection and awareness standpoint, from being able to manage myself, help me understand who I am, and like deciding on who I want to be, and helping me be consistent in that arena, I feel like that's my debt. And there's no amount of money that I will ever have that I could pay it back with, other than having that space and helping other people do the same thing. You know, I always talk about jiu-jitsu as being like the most selfish and selfless thing that you'll ever do at the same time, right? Because, you know, we're in here, and like whenever you and I were training, like, you know, we're cashing checks with our bodies every time we train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the reality is I can't cash the check without you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're both doing it to each other to get better.
One thing we say, it's like everybody says it's an individual sport, but it's not. I can't jiu-jitsu by myself. It takes at least two.
At least.
At least two people.
Yeah. You know, and that's where it becomes selfish and selfish.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, I'm taking from you.
Yeah.
You know, but you're also taking from me, too. And it's okay because it's like it's this mutual bond that we now have because of what we've taken from each other, you know. I don't know. You could kind of go down the rabbit hole with that.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
You know.
That's super dope, though.
Well, it's like the ego plays a role, you know. It's like you get to a certain level. You know, I used to, I mean, even up until just the past couple of years, I remember talking to Jeremy. Like, well, Jeremy, if I roll like a brown belt or a black belt, like, I'm like, it's go time. Like, I'm ready to, like, you know, I'll just say stupid stuff like that. And, and then I'll, you know, come into open mat with James, and James is dishing me some humble pie lately, and I'm starting to realize, like, man, it's just not the same anymore because of how long I've been doing this, because of the miles that I've put on the body. I'm kind of like, all right, if I want to keep doing this, I have to adjust the way I think about how to train. I have to adjust how I approach my relationships with the other people that have also put in this time, you know, like not be a knucklehead, not make it about me. You know, that's my struggle. That's the thing that I'm focused on right now, is just this next phase, you know, the next chapter of the journey, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people get hung up and where they quit.
And I could see that, you know, it's like if you can't be the best in the room anymore, it's like, you know, I mean, that's a real shot to the to your ego, you know.
Your ego really quick. Mine is, I try to avoid the external conflict and focus more on the internal conflict, because I'm harder on myself than anybody else will ever be.
Yes.
If I didn't get that sweep, it's because I did something wrong. Or if my guard got passed, it's because something I didn't do. It's not that you're that good. It's just that I suck that much.
Yeah, yeah. And it's weird because, like, I know I've always had this mentality, you can't beat me until you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then once you beat me, it's like, well, you can't beat me again. Until you do it again. It's like this constant revolving door, you know, of like trying to coddle my ego and like get better at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like personality development over years, right? I look at it the same way as in jiu-jitsu because, you know, I've been training now just jiu-jitsu primarily I'm coming up on 8 years. Mm-hmm. And think about it, like your personality changes I think if you're doing it right every 6 or 7, like you start to view the world differently. Like we talked about 18-year-old James versus 40-year-old James.
Yeah.
Like think about how many iterations of you there has been in that dash.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's the thing, your jiu-jitsu changes the same way. So like the reason why I came in to train is not the reason why I still train.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? And I think if you've been training for 10 years and you are training for the same reason as day one, like I think you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, you might have some mental issues too, though.
That's
very likely.
Hey,
yeah, well, absolutely.
There'll be
I'm stuck in a moment.
There's definitely people who have, you know, we watched, you know, Jeremy did an episode with us, and we watched a black belt match of a guy who was super aggressive, and you think about a guy who's trained so long and still, you know, has that like, just that rough approach, you know.
That jitter. That
it hurt,
20 ounces of coffee jitter.
All my joints start hurting when I see shit like that now. It's like my elbow, my shoulder starts spazzing out, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Slow down, play a position, you know, like.
Yeah. And see, I watched that, 'cause I watched that episode, and I was watching that match. And to me, all I saw was fear. You know what I mean? Because whenever you see guys that go out there like that, like, to me, I saw that he obviously was not a competitor.
No.
Like,
no.
You know, you don't need to cut your teeth at black belt.
No.
You know what I mean? And I just felt like he was really nervous. Like, you know how, like, whenever you roll new guys, you know, like, they grab your collar and they start shaking? Because they're grabbing you so hard.
And you're
know?
just sitting there like, dude, it's not going to disintegrate. Like, relax. Like, you are not going to Thanos my collar.
So, I was going to say Thanos.
You gonna finger snap my gi off, man? Get out of here.
Yeah, you know.
Well, speaking of fear, it seemed like
God.
last night.
We're going here now.
You gonna bring it in like that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Gordon Ryan slapping the fear of God into Andre Galvao last night. We'll go ahead and watch this real quick here. Oh, Jesus.
It hurt my heart to see that.
But, like, he kept coming towards him. He pushed him. He walked up, slaps him.
Didn't he slap him again?
Yeah, he did
And then,
again.
yeah, right here, like, he starts to walk off. He's bucking at him. Galvao keeps following him. Gordon's like, what? He's like, I'm not afraid. Slaps him again.
Oh.
Couldn't see that one, but you could definitely hear it.
Yeah.
Like they followed him into a conference room after that or something, like an open area or something, I think.
So I'm sure everybody in jiu-jitsu has, like, watched this whole clip. There's a couple things that I feel. One, I feel like it could be both of them working together on this, you know, like
Yeah.
Under the cut. Like, I think a lot of people are naive to think that, you know, there's not some kind of behind the scenes, you know, thing to promote their match. If it's not that, and Andre just got his ass slapped
Twice.
you know, like twice by this guy. I mean, it could be the most brilliant move by Andre to get the money he wants to get the fight, you know? It's like, but it's also like really humiliating. Like, I'm sure he didn't, if it wasn't pre-planned by the both of them, I know he probably definitely didn't expect to get walloped in that way,
I
you
couldn't
know?
see it being, I wouldn't say that Andre Galvao getting slapped in the face, I would consider that humiliating because, let's be honest, there ain't much I can do to Andre Galvao.
I mean, he did take it like a champ. It's not like he cowered down or anything.
No, he didn't.
And he kept
walk
walking
away.
towards him the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, he was, you know, he's a big Christian, you know, guy. So, I mean, turn the other cheek, right? I mean.
Yeah, and he slapped that one too.
He did.
Yeah.
What did the five fingers say to the face?
Oh, man.
Yeah. It might have been something like that where they planned all that out, but I just don't see Andre being like signing up for getting slapped.
Nah.
Like, I just don't see it.
My thing, though, is here's the thing. That camera just conveniently was following them during that whole time behind
Well, it's
the
a cell
stage.
phone.
But it was just like the timing of it all and just like, you know, I don't know.
Who knows? The second slap may not even
But
have
I'm
happened. All you heard was a sound. It might have been a hand clap.
I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, okay?
here
so
we
that,
go.
I mean, this is kind of the things
here we
that I
go.
think
Flat
about.
Earth next.
Yep.
Yeah, just a little bit, but yeah. Anywho, I really do hope that this match goes down. I mean, it's got to.
It has
Oh,
to
yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
It has to.
Like, it was going to happen anyway. This is just amping it up even more.
Yeah.
Like, what were they doing together there? Like, let's get some more background story. I'd like to know what was going on.
Well, Andre was coaching Ronaldo Jr. against Craig Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had some other Atos people, didn't they? Or was he the only one?
I think he was the only one.
That's right, because
Yeah.
Jessica Kahn's with AOJ, and she had a great match. Gabby Garcia lost, which was pretty big news.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll look that one up.
And then she called out Gordon Ryan, which was
Yeah.
also pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
She has a video where she's like talking to the camera. She's like, "My job is to not be a pussy."
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, God. Is that how she sounds to you?
that is how she sounds.
Oh,
that was
wow.
like the best impression that anybody could give of Gabby Garcia. I feel.
You sound like the Terminator.
Well, that's how she sounds.
Okay, then thank you. She looks like him, too. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. She'll kill me.
No, I love it. I'm
Yeah,
actually a
she'll kill
Gabby
all of us.
Garcia
Yes.
fan. Yeah, I mean, I think that she's.
Yeah, let's start
a
swimming
badass.
backwards. I love her. She's awesome.
Yeah. Edit.
She's the type of girl too who would immediately comment, you know, and be like,
Oh, yeah.
Flow grappling or whatever was like celebrating the girl that beat her. And forgive me because I forgot exactly who it was. Do you remember the girl's name by
Natalia.
chance? Natalia.
Natalia. Yeah, I don't know how she pronounces her name, but
But she's a she's a world class athlete, obviously, and they were celebrating her. And Gabby Garcia comments below in the section. She's like, "Thanks, Flo. I was happy with my performance too."
yeah.
It's just like,
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like they've been back and forth in the gi, but that I believe, of course, we might have to look this up, but that's the first time Gabby's lost in no gi.
Really?
Like,
Oh, okay.
Nobody's really beaten her in no gi yet.
Wow.
So
Makes
because
sense.
she's like multiple time ADCC world champ, open
yeah.
weight, like
Yeah.
it's Gabby, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Gabby
She's a scary
Garcia.
girl.
yeah. I don't
Like,
know.
I remember seeing her when she was much bigger, but I've seen her when she's slimmed down a whole lot. And either
Yeah.
way, she's a hulk of a girl.
Yeah, man, she's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary woman.
Yeah, I met her in at the Pan Am's one year. I forgot what year, but like I just walked by her and I was like, holy shit. She would just, I mean, she'd murder me.
You didn't try to get her number?
I'd let her.
Mm-mm.
No? No. That's okay.
No, I feel like if she liked me, she'd have gotten mine.
Yeah, she would have. She's definitely the one that probably does the approaching.
Yeah.
So you like to play top or bottom?
Yeah.
my job. I'll cut that part out.
Yeah, that's definitely getting out. That's hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see here, man. Well, I think we let's see. Is there anything else, Miles, that you want to go over? Any message you want to leave off with today for the people that are listening?
Do what you want with who you want to, whenever you want to do it.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah, free will, right?
Yeah, man.
Just try not to harm other people, you know.
YOLO.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to armbar somebody, then
Yeah,
I guess it's okay.
They get to tap. I'm gonna hurt you until you say stop.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know. Man, I don't know. I'm not really much of like a motivational guy or anything, you know. It's just, I don't know. I think peace comes through mastery of whatever that is. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
pick something and pursue it.
Pick something, whether it's a hobby, whether it pays you, whether it doesn't. Like,
do it anyway.
Yeah, just do it. Like, whatever you enjoy. And that's the unfortunate part with so many people is they don't know that. They don't know what that thing is that they really enjoy.
Yeah.
But I believe they need to actively pursue that. Whatever it is, man, it doesn't matter. You know, like, you just need to do something with your time.
Yeah.
You know, we only get so much time here, and it's not a lot. You know, and it's kind of like, you know, and then whenever you find the thing that you love, whatever it may be, it's like, just go to the end of the earth for it. And like, the pursuit of mastery in and of itself will open up doors for you for bigger and better things. You know, I guess that's the only piece of advice I've got.
We're gonna get Adam to make that autobiography for you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty dope.
All right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Miles, I really appreciate you coming out here and doing this with us, training with us, and showing our audience some cool moves. James, you want to take us out here, brother?
Okay. Well, like Jeff said, thanks for coming. So we're going to take a couple more miles and drive our way on out of here.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us this week on another amazing episode of Jiu-Jitsu by the Train Tracks. I've been your co-host, James Anthony Williams, and this is your host, Jeffrey F. Spain. Remember to click the bell, subscribe, and follow us on social media platforms like Instagram and the Facebookers. And that's about it. Miles, you got anything you want to shout out that we can follow you on potentially?
What's your Instagram handle? It's
Kirby BJJ, and then number 1 Profectus Columbia.
Profectus Columbia. Yeah, we'll share
Follow
that.
that one. I don't really give a shit about my account.
We'll put the link in the description, and you can follow Miles and his amazing journey as he becomes the next biggest thing in Colombia. Word to your mother.
Oh, man, that was a really good ending there.
Hey, this is all off the top of my head.
I like it.
I'm a psychopath.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm looking at James as he's talking. I feel like he's reading my mind. Like, he's just like...
He's got these rolling cue cards that go across his glasses. I just have to read them.
So y'all are just on the same menstrual cycle.
That's exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You saw he got mad earlier.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.